Well, but again, thanks for all. Um, I will start to talk about who is ASSA ABLOY because maybe someone have some question about our history. ASSA ABLOY is the global leader about the access control solutions. Today we have more of 300 brands, and each brand has a specific objective. For that reason, we can offer many options for different markets. Part of brands, you can find HID, Readers, Yale, Sargent, Seco, and other brands. So, what is the idea to have these different brands in our portfolio? The idea for this is to have a different option with that different project because we understood we need to have this kind of solution in different in the business or different markets because that is the very important to have the correct solution. So every day we can help our clients with a lot of options. For that reason, we have a divisions. Our divisions is Assembly Opening Solutions. Opening Solutions is the global division for all the access control equipments. So when I talk about what we do, as Apploy has a different division. In this case, we talk about the our division. In this case, is the door opening access control solutions. Our division has all the portfolio about the access controls. So in this case, you will have all the different equipments or brands. When I talk about our brands here, you can see our line card. In online car, you can find specialty doors, electromechanical locks, exit devices, and accessories and softwares. Every day, we work very hard to offer the best solution for each market because we understood a lot of years ago we need to have the specific solution for a specific market because that is the key to choose the correct brand and partner. So maybe some brand here is very new for different people, but that's the idea. The idea for these spaces is try to show what we do and what kind of products or brands we have in different markets. Additionally, uh, as a part of our commitment, we help our clients to build a proactive culture because the success start with them being proactive. For that reason, we try to give every day the best option for our clients because that's the most important part. Be proactive is the part of the or ADN in ASSA ABLOY. When I talk about the or solutions, ASSA ABLOY doesn't say only access control. We offer solutions. So when I talk about the solutions, ASSA ABLOY have open architectures. So that's very important because that is the first part when I talk with the access control projects because that is the first part. So because each project need to have the best options, the products, and the correct equipment. Today they are very pro because we have a different options to supply for security each for supply security for each area. We have traditional systems. I am sure every day every people has when I talk about the traditional system is when you have different accessories around the door and you have the conventional system with the access panel or control panel and software. But today we have a different option, for example, the wireless locks. This kind of solution give you more benefits, and the idea with our products is to give you these benefits and give you more is the options when you need to choose the correct option with this kind of project. Here you can see in this slide the specific attitude. That is very important because our solution is open. You can install this kind of solution with all the access control systems, or maybe you can use or software persona software is or this is main system for our system. This is a little example of what we can do with our product step by step because the idea with that is our value proposition is to deliver complete solutions from one manufacturer, ensuring consistency and efficiency. That is the most important. When I talk about that, we can give you different solutions, for example, for frames and metal doors. When I talk about the doors, we can give you different specialty doors, for example, fire-ready doors for different applications. For example, in the electrical room, maybe you will need to have you will need to have a specialty door for this specific area. Additionally, you need to have special accessories for different spaces. Also, when I talk about the buildings, you need to have specialty locks. For example, exit devices. You have different spaces to evacuate the people for outside of the building. You need to have exit devices, and these exit devices they need to have maybe some rules or maybe some certifications to work. We have this kind of products in our portfolio. Additionally, have the different accessories. For example, when I talk about the specific area, maybe you need to have automation for the door. For example, for this kind of solution, we have automatic doors and the additionally accessories. For example, accessory for glass doors, accessory, for example, power supplies, buttons, and everything solution for this kind of solutions. So when I talk about the ASSA ABLOY, that this is a great picture about our solutions because this is the most important part. Additionally, for that, a part of compromise with our client is understand what kind of challenge they have in their operations. So and we can help in these kind of challenges. So when I talk about this, that maybe we have a different challenges, but in this moment, maybe we'll have a little uh, tips about the challenges and solutions. For example, safe and guarding information with end-to-end solution. That's very important because that is the part only when I talk about integration, this is the part about that. Reduce the risk on authorization access. That is very important too because when I talk about the access control, we need to be sure we have the correct solution to guarantee the people entry safety and we have the security system. Additionally, ensure the continuous system operation. That's the other part because when I have a, a, a system and this system they have the is not strong, maybe you will have problems with your social security, and if you lost the time, maybe you will lose money because you maybe will lose time to in your operation. Mitigate the risks for loss or duplicate keys. When I talk about the access control, the mechanical keys is an access control. Maybe this is the most old access control system, but the problem with that is very difficult to have data because you don't have records about these kind of solutions because it's a mechanical key. So for that reason, in some cases we have a lot of problems about the lost keys. Management access on conventional areas. That is another part because some clients, for example, when I talk about the critical infrastructure in different parts, for example, ports, airports, telecom systems, and other things, areas, and maybe we have a specific or difficult areas to control. It's not the conventional door for the main door for the building. Maybe we are talking about, for example, electrical room outside of the building, or maybe it's a fence or something like that. So for that reason, it's important to have additional system for this kind of areas. And the last point is fast and safety access control to critical area. That's very important because when I talk about the security, we need to be sure we have a safe for the people because when I need to evacuate the people from the inside the building, we need to guarantee the people can evacuate for the building. And in the other hand, we need to have safety for my building. So we need to have these two options in the same door. So that's in some occasions is very difficult to have. So What kind of solution we have? When I talk about the challenge, we have solution. In this solution, we have the specialty door for different spaces, electronic locks with different features and skills. So we have different options for that. Locks for server cabinets. So because that is another part very important inside for the buildings, access control software. If you don't have the strong access software, maybe you will have a problems in the future. So you need to have a monitoring system with good skills. And the another part is the biometric solutions. The biometric solutions today, that is very important because give you more security in the entries. So we will start to know more about our solution. But when I try to talk with our clients or end user, the majority of the cases when I give these questions, the end user don't have the answer for that because it's difficult to have the answer for that because every day we need to work in our systems or electronic system to have the best solutions. So ASSA ABLOY has a lot of experience in all market, but we identify some critical market because we know this business needs special protection solutions. And right now, we share with you some examples about the critical infrastructure and what kind of solution we have in these spaces. For example, the first one is the telecom system. When I talk about the telecom system, this is a part of critical system. And in my opinion, that is the most important market because this kind of solution give you the opportunity to have these kind of spaces about the connectivity. So when I talk about that, we need to have a special access control system. These kind of companies need to have a special access control because they don't have doors, for example, in the majority of the cases. They need to have control, for example, in the cabinets around the city, or maybe they need to have access controls in the towers. So this kind of the spaces is very difficult to install a traditional system access control. So for that reason, ASSA has a different application for that. For example, when I talk about that, we have a cabinet locks. This kind of cabinet locks works with specialty keys, electronic keys, or we have electronic padlocks too. So we can install a specific padlocks in remote areas. We have access control for this kind of products, or maybe we need to have intelligent key cabinets to organize my mechanical keys. Another example is the data centers. This kind of solution is or this kind of business is very important because um, all buildings or any users has a data centers. We have big data centers, a little data center, but I am sure every people has this kind of data centers. So the most important area inside of the building is the data center because here you have all the information about the company. For that reason, you need to have the best solution for this kind of part. So we have specialty doors or electronic locks for that. When I talk about that, in data center, we have a specific solution for that. For example, we have a specialty door for that. Data centers have some certificate, some certification, for example, fire rate doors. We have this kind of doors. We maybe you need to have a specialty lock to open this kind of door. We have this kind of specialty locks. Or maybe you need to have access control in the server cabinets. So we can do it that maybe and additionally you do have a monitoring access control solution. In my opinion, that part is very important because you maybe you will have different access control software, but you need to have a specific monitoring system because the idea is to have the correct way to have is more security in the future, or maybe cabinet locks too. So when I talk about the data center, for example, in this example, specific example, we can do that these kinds of solutions. So we understood we need to have this equipment for all clients because this part of the area in the buildings is the most important area in the majority of the cases. So now, for example, When I talk about the ASSA ABLOY solutions, we in the last slides we talk about the different markets or what kind of solution, what challenges we need to have. But right now we talk about the ASSA ABLOY solutions. For example, when I talk about the lock and exit devices, this kind of equipment is very important because give you the possibility to save the people in the emergency and also give you the security for your building. So this is not only a simple exit exit device. When I talk about the exit device, for example, we need to know what kind of exit device we need. Maybe we need to have electric exit devices, or maybe we need that exit device with the egress. So this kind of option is possible today because it's necessary in different applications. So for that reason, ASSA has all these kind of solutions. When I talk about the, for example, critical infrastructure in the cost, maybe you need to have a specific product with abrasive coat because maybe this kind of product need to have a special protection for this specific area. So it's not only the solution for the mechanical equipment. You need to know, you need to have more specific parts about the exit devices, electrical, mechanical, or finishes. When I talk about the wired security solutions about the ASSA we have a lot of options or features about our logs. But in this moment, we are talking about the most important part about the logs. In this case, for example, this is the part of the access control. When I talk about access control, we need to have different equipments around the door. But for example, the door is part of the access control. The another part of the access control is the logs. This kind we talk about the logs, and you need to have and you have the possibility to choose the different feature or functions about these kind of solutions. For example, we have a mortise lock, cylindrical locks, or dead latch electrified locks for aluminum doors. So these kind of locks have a different options to work with different access control because you need to have a voltage about these kind of solutions and you receive a control and that's it. So that is a good part for that. Additionally, we have a rest of the accessories. For example, when I talk about the access control, wired access control, we are talking about the, for example, electric strike, electromagnetic locks, is and additionally peer sensors, buttons, power supplies, and something like that. This kind of part is a part of the traditional access control software too. Another part, if you remember the last slide when I talk about the open architecture, about we talk about the difference solution for access control from ASSA ABLOY. In the last slide, we talk about the wired or traditional access control. When you have you have the lock, you have the rear, you have the panel. But maybe in some cases you need to have a special solution, for example, wireless solution, because it's difficult to install a traditional system in these cases. For that reason, we have other kind of solutions. For example, when I talk about the wired solution, we need to have these kind of solutions or the kind of equipments. As Abloy has a good partner inside of the family is HID. When HID, we have all these kind of boards. With this kind of board, you can install the traditional systems. When I talk about the traditional systems, we have this kind of logs. For example, you have a specialty logs when you have the reader or capable reader too, or maybe you need to have the server cabinet logs too. When I talk about what kind is the architect about these solutions, this is the typical architecture. When you have a door with a traditional simple system, you will have this. You have a reader, you have the Mac log, or you have the electronic log, you have the DPS, or maybe you strike and reader. And also you will need to have a specific access control panel with a cabinet and the power supply and the rest of the system, for example, the server. So that is the good example about the traditional system. In the majority of the cases, that is a good option, but the traditional system in some cases is not only expensive, but also you can be complicated, requiring a hard wiring of for both power and communication. This usually require access control panels and rectifies above the ceiling. So when I talk about that, you need to have more equipment. You don't you need to consider the rest of the equipment. For example, the installations about these kind of products in the ceiling or maybe in outside the ceiling. As a Abloy, when talk about the different options we have, or technology is wireless a period locks. A period locks is a big family about products when you need to have only a hub. These logs works with batteries. So here you can see different options. For example, backlogs, you can see electric strikes with batteries. You can see locks for aluminum doors. You can see institutional door locks. So these locks works with battery and give you a lot of benefits when I need to install a specific products. For example, yeah, you remember the last image about the traditional access control. Here, you need to have less equipment because you need to have only the logs, in this case, the period logs, and the hub. The hub give you the communication with the log and the server access control. So in this case, you will have benefits about in the time of the installation system. Aperion makes everything wired from the hub to the door. This will significantly reduce the cost of expanding your access control system and offering real-time communication. That is very important because some cases we have the idea the wired system is not a real-time system. In these cases, a period log have this benefit. You have all the control every moment with the log. You can see the different alarms, for example, for sentry or for hell open, something like that. You can have these benefits about these solutions. So what is the idea? You have only one. That's the point with the solution specific. So now we have all the part of different parts of the access control. We have the door, we have the equipment and the accessories. But right now we are talking about the software because that is another big important part about the ecosystem system. So when I talk about that, ASSA ABLOY has a specific access control solution. In this case, Persona. Persona is our software. In our software, you have access control. You will have a database integration with databases, a time attendance, biometric solution, integration with biometric equipments, a CCTV, and monitoring. When I talk about that, that is very important because we have all the ecosystem about the hardware and software in the same page. Another part for that is how we can have the information or how we can give more information, more security in my spaces. For that reason, Asabloy has two another brands. For example, in this case, Control ID. Control ID is part of Asabloy, and as a control ID works with all the biometric systems. When I talk about biometric systems, this is very important because that is the new area about the solutions about the access control. For example, we have a different options, but here we have a different examples about that. This is it, or IDFX Max. IDFX Max is our system for by facial recognition. The facial recognition work with the algorithm. The algorithm name is Paravision. So this kind of solution give you the possibility to have more security about the what kind of information you have inside of the equipment. So that is very important when I talk about the institutional government spaces or something like that. So this kind of product have a big features and big skills. For example, you have the integration with SIP intercom, so you can talk about you can talk with the people through the with the equipment. We have a lot of database inside for the equipment. Maybe we have a lot of faces inside. We have a big touch screen that is part of the equipment. So I also you have the reader, card reader too. So you can work with different technologies. You have the possibility to enter in a space with a, for example, with your face, with your reader, or with the card, sorry, or maybe with a pin. We have had different models. For example, that is another part with that have a similar skills about the last model, but that idea is to have a different option because we know every project is different. So the idea is to have the correct product for the specific solution or specific project. We have a fingerprint reader. So that is another part. Fingerprint reading is a good option, but we need to understand the fingerprint reading is not the best option for all the solution because in some cases we have problem with our fingers. So in some cases the people say this kind of technology don't work, but the problem is not the technology. The problem is maybe don't choose the correct solution for this kind of parts. And another part for that is the XT keys. When I talk about the critical infrastructure, we need to understand we need to have a specific solution. When I talk about the example about the telecom, or for example, the ports or airports, something like that, maybe we need to have a specific access control because this is a difficult area. For example, when I talk about the transportation, maybe we have a truck and this truck move over different areas in the city, but we need to know about the records when the truck is open. So this kind of solution give you this kind of data. So how it works is very simple. This kind of solution works with an electronic key, and this key have all the information about your access control rules. And when you have the access, you can open this space. When I talking about the how we can open, you can open padlocks, cylinders, doors, everything you can do it. So the solution is very easy and additionally have a benefit because you don't have infrastructure about that. You don't need to install, for example, conduit, wiring. So you only need the equipment. When I talk about the components, these two first square give you about the solution for access control. You will have the electronic keys. The electronic keys is, for example, your card reader, and in this case you have the rules about the which space I can open, and the second square give you the door, for example, the cylinders or the padlocks. So when these two squares you have the access control, that's it. And the keys has battery, so you can recharge the battery every day if necessary. So additionally you have additional components about the programmers or charters and software. The software you have two versions, on-premise and cloud versions. Depending of your system or your project, you can choose what kind of solution is better for you. So for that reason, that's important to choose the correct part of the solution. Additionally, the kit has the option with the Bluetooth system. So if you have keys with Bluetooth system, you can receive new rules about the open new areas with your phone. So your phone is a bridge, is a bridge communication with your key and the server access control. So for that reason, you have connection in every part when you are. Another part about the access control system is the mechanical system. Um, we are talking about the mechanical system is the electronic is the access control, but in some cases it's difficult to have a control about that. For that reason, ASSA ABLOY has a different solutions. So in this part, we are talking about the how we can management these keys. For example, that is a good question about the how looks your management keys. So when I talk about that, we have the solution. We have a different with specific cabinets, with special cabinets, when you can management your keys, and this keys is safety. So you have the warranty. The people is only the correct people has access for these keys. So that is the most important part. So what kind of solution we have in this in this kind of equipment? For example, we have a cabinet or cabinets. We have a different solution. We have solution for 32 positions or 288 positions in sites. So this kind of product have the possibility to work standalone, or maybe you need to have to create a network about the cabinet. You can do it. You can buy the licenses for that and have a mess about the different cabinets around the city or around the building. So this kind of part give you this benefits to have a different access control. So what is the idea for that? Today, the idea is to give you different options for the critical infrastructure, because we know every day we will have different challenges, and the idea for that is try to give you this kind of tools to work every day with our clients and give our clients new technologies or new solutions. Okay. In summary, of benefits of the subloy solutions, that thing that is the most important part, because when I talk about the our solution, we need to understand what kind of benefit we you receive about our solution. For example, access control, that is a important part, but it's not only access control. Maybe we need to have a question about that. Why my access control give you a physical security? If the answer is yes, is good. But some cases only have access control, but we don't have the rest of the points here in this slide. The access control is not only access control to open or close the door. We need to have physical security. We need to have audit records. We need to have risk reduction, and the most important, data. When I don't have the data, it's very difficult to invest in new solutions, because if I don't have information about how works my building or my business, it's impossible to invest in new solutions. So for that reason, when you receive this data, you can take decisions for in the future about the new solutions or the new business for that. So that is the most important part for that, because we try to give these kinds of solutions with our partner. In this case, food protection is our partner for that. And the idea with that is give you this kind of tools and give you support. As Ablo has special teams inside on, because today we can give you to spec systems or to spec projects. So if you have a project and you need help to choose the correct product or the correct solution, we can help with that. We have a specific people inside of the company, and these people give you or help you with information that you need. For example, if you need information about what cancel best is the best solution, for example, the airports, I have a specific people to have information about that. Or when I talk about the banks or for the telecom system, we can do that. So that's the part for us. In for my side, that is the last part of the systems. uh, I don't know if something have any questions about or solutions. And that is my intervention for this reason. I don't know. Let me to see. Let me to see. I have a question here in the chat. Let me to see. Okay. What is the battery life of those? Maybe you're talking about the keys. The keys. For example, about the keys, we have two answers about that. When I talk about the BLE keys, Bluetooth keys, these keys have a life for 5 or 7 days. And if you have a standard keys, for example, these kind of keys have maybe 2 or 3 months. And with the life in different spaces, maybe you will have, for example, 5 or 7 years per keys. So it's a long life for these kind of products.